Welcome everybody, Go Local Live. I'm Josh Fenton, CEO and co-founder. It's a busy day in Rhode Island already at 10 o'clock in the morning. The sun is out and it is freezing out. So March is playing cruel tricks on us this month, but we'll take it. Spring is around the corner. Today we'll have a busy day starting off this morning with RISLA. This afternoon, we'll have Dr. Michael Fine on. He'll be back at 1:30. He gave some pretty interesting numbers about the number of those over 60 years of age who still have not gotten their first vaccine shot. It's over 150,000. We discussed that with him yesterday. We'll talk more about some of the trends that are going on. But let's go to Solanchi Fernandez. She is the diversity coordinator at the College Planning Center at RISLA. Solanchi, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's go into it. Colleges is big business and big expenses. I had two children go through four-year colleges. I know the expense issue extremely well. Talk a little bit about the role that the College Planning Center plays in helping Rhode Island families.
Okay, so RISLA's College Planning Center, we're here to service all of Rhode Island students and families to go through the whole process of college planning, from the admissions to the financial aid, and then even after they receive their acceptance letters, we'll review those with them, and also helping them make a good, sound and decision based on value for their students. And if there is some issues or question about financing, we also go over all the financing options available out there for them. So we cover all sorts of subject to help them kind of ease their minds and help them realize that it's not as stressful as it should be, because we're here to make it less stressful, and all our services are free.
So stress is definitely the watchword of the college application process. From preparing essays and filling out applications, that stresses out parents and students, and then it shifts over to the financial aid form, the Fafsa.
Yeah.
I always equate Fafsa with going to a dentist, potentially being waterboarded, things like that. The Fafsa application is a very, tell me if I'm wrong, it's been a few years, a very difficult application to fill out. How do you guys assist families and take some of that stress out of it?
Well, we help take the stress out of it by actually filling it out for them, and understand that it could be stressful, but luckily the government has made filling out that form easier as the time is going by. And I'm sure you're probably like me. Back in my day, we had to do a paper version. Now everything is electronically, and we're here to help families get through that whole process, and we will be able to fill those forms out for them. Now the government has made it so easy that you actually could link out to the IRS and import most of the information. And if not, we can just manually put in the information right from the parents' tax information. But we try to make it as stress-free as possible, and we do that through one-on-one appointments. Due to the pandemic, right now most of our appointments are either virtual or on the phone. But normally, parents would be able to come into our offices. We have two offices, and one in Warwick and one in Lincoln, and we would be able to fill those forms out for them. And I'm the outreach coordinator, so I also would be able to go out into the schools themselves. So I will focus more on the urban districts, so I would meet with them right at their school and help them fill out those forms.
Yeah, that didn't happen when I was around. Yeah, no, did not happen. No, there was nobody like that. It sounds in a much better process. Talk about, is the barrier that folks don't know you provide these services, or is it the inherent procrastination factor?
I think it's a little bit of both. But I think we're trying to do a better job of doing more outreach and getting the word out. But right now with this whole pandemic, a lot of people had just put it in the back burner and don't realize that they still need to fill out the FAFSA, because the FAFSA is the first step that you need to take to be able to qualify for financial aid. If you don't fill it out, you don't get the opportunity to get that money. And even with the Rhode Island Promise at CCRI, if you don't fill out that FAFSA, you don't automatically get the assistance that they offer there.
Yeah, it really is. And you think about it, right? The cost of a college education is one of the most expensive things that you'll ever incur, right? Other than maybe buy a home or buy a business. It's far more expensive than most cars. So it's critical to be able to take advantage of it. And there's a lot of different scholarship and financial aid opportunities there. Talk a little bit about how wide is that opportunity to pick up additional dollars from different sources during that financial aid process?
Well, like I mentioned, the most important thing is if they fill out their FAFSA, by filling out the FAFSA, the information is utilized.
Solanchi, hold on one second. I've just got a little ear issue on my earpiece.
Okay.
Okay, I think we are back.
Okay.
Solanchi, are you there?
I'm here. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Solanchi,
Can you hear me?
I apologize.
No problem. Are you able to hear me?
No. Okay, great. Sorry about that. The world of technology, Zooms and all the rest, and every now and then the technology hits the skids. But you were talking about the range of different financial opportunities there are, both in aid and in scholarships.
Yes. So the most important thing is to start off with that FAFSA, because the information is utilized that they gather from the FAFSA by institutions to award their institutional money. Of course, it is used to automatically award the federal money. But then there's also the private sector. And that's where a lot of the money gets kind of, I call it, left on the table. Because there's a lot of money out there for private scholarships and grants, but students don't take the time to research it. Or even when they finally research it and find some of the scholarships, they don't take time to fill it out because they don't want to be writing all those essays. And sometimes I explain to students that sometimes you can kind of just tweak an essay and utilize it for various scholarships. So there is money out there. It's just a matter of the students taking the time to research it and actually apply. And the first step is to do that FAFSA form, because that will automatically generate the federal money, and then it will provide the institutions the information for them to award institutional need-based money.
Yeah, it's incredibly important, and there is a lot of money. I went to URI undergrad when URI was not very expensive, and I think I got a significant scholarship because my grandfather had worked at the American Screw Company that is no longer around, and I got $1,000 or $2,000 because of that.
Yeah, I tell students that sometimes, the Rhode Island College Planning Center does house a scholarship website called RI Scholarships, and we have over 400 scholarships. Some schools have actual scholarship just for students of that particular school. There's scholarships out there for everything and everyone. I also tell students, don't limit your search just to the internet. You can ask friends, family, and neighbors. And I always use my daughter as an example because thanks to my neighbor told us about a scholarship that he was involved with for a social organization. And then her aunt, who worked at a Cox Communication at the time, also made sure she knew about the Cox Communication scholarship. So sometimes it's through word of mouth, because not every scholarship gets publicized or promoted, but also just doing the research online also helps.
Solanchi, do folks just not, does money get literally left on the table? Is there money that could have gone to a Rhode Island student who's looking to higher education because there wasn't enough applicants?
Yeah, especially it's mostly of the most of the money that gets left on the tables is through those private scholarships, because the federal and the institutional money does get utilized with the students, but it's those private scholarships that unfortunately a lot of money gets left on the table because students just don't apply.
What's the deadline for FAFSA? What do families need to know? When do they need to get this completed, and when and how do they schedule time to work with you?
Well, the FAFSA becomes available each year, October 1st of the student's senior year, because you can't fill it out until you're in your senior year. And then every year thereafter, the student has to renew it. The renewals can be done later because mainly a lot of schools focus on the incoming freshmen. So in referring to deadlines, it would all depend on the institutions they're applying to. A lot of students tend to apply what we call early action, one of those words from the admissions process, which basically lets the school know they want to apply early, they want to find out early so they can make their decision quicker. And normally a lot of the early action deadlines are November 1st, November 15th, or December 1st. Regular admissions deadlines and for financial aid as well, some are January 1st, February 1st, March 1st. The student just has to create a college list along with the deadlines for those schools based on admissions and financial aid. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different, but it's very important that when a student is looking to apply to a college or university that they look into those deadlines, because there is not just one set deadline for everybody. It's school dependent.
Yeah, and it's a crazy year in the college application process. I was just seeing that applications at Harvard are up 42%. At Colgate, they're up over 100%. And the explanation was that people are just applying to more and more colleges, especially during this pandemic. I guess if you've got those application fees, you can apply to more.
Yep.
What should folks do right now to be able to tap into RISLA and your center? How should they get in touch with you?
Well, they can reach us by calling our office number, and they would leave a message, and someone will try calling them back within 24 hours. And that phone number is 401-736-3170. They can also send us an email as staff, so STAFF, at cpcri.org. And when you send us an email, you give us your name and a number and best time to reach you, and we will be more than happy to book an appointment with you. Right now, we're currently still actually filling out FAFSA for those late runners there that procrastinated. But right now, we're also starting to a lot of kids have started receiving their acceptance and some award letters. So we're meeting with students to go over their award letters. And believe it or not, current juniors, or as I call them, rising seniors, have already started calling us so we can start just going over that general college planning process where we talk about the admissions process, about creating college lists and so on. And then we do a quick overview of the financial aid so that they're fully aware what they need to prepare for and get ready so that when the financial aid application becomes available starting October 1st, they're ready to go.
Solanchi, you get the last word. It's a very stressful process. It starts in the junior year. Gosh, at some schools, the stress starts to build as sophomores. How does you tell parents and students what's the best way to relieve the stress and how you guys can help?
I think the best way to relieve the stress is make sure you start sooner rather than later. And even if you think it's too early, you give us a call and we'll give you some information. Last week, I spoke to someone who is a freshman in high school. It's never too early to start planning. It's just that you need to make sure you call us and we will tell you when is the best time to speak with us. Because of course, if we're in the middle of the FAFSA season, we can't start talking to a freshman in high school to start talking about the college planning process. But we tell them, okay, this is what's going to happen, but let's talk a little further on, maybe over the summer, and we could give you more information. But we never turn away any clients. We provide as much information as possible. But, the best way to release stress is just to start early, or call or email us and ask questions. We'll be more than happy to return a call and answer some quick questions.
Solanchi Fernandez, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. And I think we'll help get the message out. The stress is, I think, probably the most difficult part of the college application process. And it's good to know that you guys offer the level of support to be able to get through the financial aid application process. So thank you for taking the time. For everybody else, stay tuned. As stated, Dr. Michael Fine will be back at 1:30, and we'll have updates throughout the day on a host of different fronts of news that's breaking. Everybody stay safe, and please, please wear your mask.
Thank you.